Hi dear friends, I have been doing some more TCL and VMD and I am also very sleepy, so I'll make a quick video about the cool things I did because I introduced a new kind of color generation idea, implementation. Next to RampenSau, I introduced an implementation of Tsjerk's Colorinator class. So this comes from a project of his called PECOC. So this is my colleague Tsjerk Wassenaar, and he works on interesting visualizations for molecular systems and statistical visualization in general. And he has this Colorinator class, and it basically based on either box plot or like some different notions. I haven't implemented all of these, but the idea is that based on different kind of distributions, you can take a number of color stops, so basically colors, and then distribute them across a color gradient, which can be really helpful in this case in making color gradients for recognizing patterns. And this is Simmerblau. We've looked at that before in my previous video, and here, so I won't explain all of that right now, but the point is there's this nice color selection notion here in RampenSau, and that's always kind of continuous over a use space, but that also means it's somewhat limited. I will quickly go through some interesting changes I made here. So I now have better matched the implementation of the randomization against the website RampenSau, which is really great because it just randomizes the hues. So once you've set like a really nice kind of saturation lightness situation here, then randomizing the hues gives all of these nice patterns kind of in the same vein, if you will, which I think is super interesting, really pleasing. So that's great. And I have also kind of overhauled here the palette library for reasons that you will see. A nice change that you can see is that the window is now a lot smaller. You can make it even smaller, which is nice because some people have very tiny screens. I have a very big screen, some people have very tiny screens. And, you know, size doesn't matter, but it's nice to be able to make it a bit smaller. Okay, as you can see, there's now two tabs here. So there's a RampenSau tab and there's the Colorinator tab, or as Tsjerk actually explained, it's like an Inator from Phineas and Ferb, right? It's like one of those scary machines that Dr. Doofenshmirtz builds. So the Colorinator here is really interesting because I just created a really wacky pattern here, and you can see that I have a lot of freedom. Let's find something that's maybe a bit nicer. I like this one a lot, although it may not be the most accessible. Let's see, I think this one is also really pretty, or this one is very nice. So as you can see, there's these dots here, and what they indicate is that you can slide them around, and they are basically the color stops. And as you can see, they will also reorder themselves if you drag them over each other. So this gives us a lot of freedom in kind of moving around these patterns. And I can even add stops. So maybe I add a couple and then I can change their colors. Maybe we create a nice kind of pink one here. And now you can see that these are all at 1, but if we now kind of drag them up, then hopefully we can create a nice little pattern here. Maybe this is not the most useful pattern, but as you can see, we can distribute them uniformly, or in terms of quartiles, which in this case isn't so interesting, or as a box plot representation that Tsjerk uses to distinguish kind of the two sides away from that centroid. And here we can also remove stuff like that. Yeah, there's this kind of rudimentary but effective color picker here that could be improved, I guess, but I'm already quite pleased with this. So now let's distribute this and then you actually get something nice. Okay, something that I think is extremely cool is that we can also go to RampenSau Although if we now press undo, then we actually go back here. This is extremely pleasing to me. It worked out really well. If we now go back to RampenSau, then you see that we have a really nice continuous thing here. What if we want to introduce a weird color into this? So then we say, bring it to the Colorinator, right? And then we add maybe a stop here where basically we can drag it up and then put it right here, and then maybe we make this white or something. And now we have something really cool. Maybe we make this black for whatever reason. And now we have a very different pattern, but it's ultimately based on this RampenSau pattern, right? And we can switch between them. Yeah, so that's extremely cool. Yeah, so I'm extremely pleased with that. I also would like to show a nice little visualization of a really cool system that my student Sophia and I have been working on. And basically, yeah, I'll quickly prepare it and then I'll show it to you. Okay, so now I've loaded the system that we were working on today. It doesn't really matter what it is. In fact, this is an entirely fabricated, messed up, fake, not real, not scientifically useful system, but it's purely for us, like for something that we're working on to test it out. So what you can see is that there's so many different kinds of molecules here, and there are a lot of them. So there's about, I don't know, I think a couple thousand here, and we are only seeing one half. So what I would like to do is I would like to color these. Now, if we now do a live preview, I think everything will kind of crawl to a halt. I will quickly do a live preview here, and then, yeah, you can see that it really takes a long time. And then if I change things here, right, it becomes super slow. So probably have to sit this one out for a second, maybe. Yeah, so we're not going to do live preview, but we're going to do a very considered color scale. So what I can say is I want to change the index, right? And the index is just by purely by the index of the atoms. And you can see that this pattern here, this gradient gives this really nice effect. Maybe we want to apply this, right? So then we apply it. It takes a bit because it's now updating all of these colors, which, I don't know, apparently when you have a lot of atoms, that suddenly gets really slow, which is annoying. But yeah, so how about, so I'm looking at this, I think this is really beautiful. Maybe I'm in the mood for something that looks a bit lighter. We can also maybe change the draw style a bit, right? Make this nice and chunky, maybe a bit more even. And then I'm also thinking maybe we can look at the materials. So we're having chalky here. What if we create a new one and then select that material? Maybe we want a little bit of outline going on. That's a bit much, but that's nice and cartoonish. And then what if we want it, yeah, so we can maybe raise a little bit of the ambient and the diffuse to kind of get a nice shade going. Okay, so now we have something really cool to work with. What if we now change here this nice color scheme, so I can randomize it. I like this, let's apply it. And then we can kind of start seeing, hey, what's this workflow like? So what I don't like is that this process of loading in the colors is currently so slow. I think maybe there is some room for improvement there, but I'll kind of look into that. I have some ideas. And then if we now look at what Colorinator gives us, maybe we take this and then we put it here, then we can mess around with it, or maybe we can like select this nice one, apply it, and wait for a moment as it's applying. Yeah, and there it is. And so now, for example, what I'm noticing is this dark one is really super dark. So maybe we want to kind of raise it a little bit like this, and maybe, yeah, make that a little smoother. Maybe we can kind of invite a bit more of that yellow here. And then we apply again, and then we cross our fingers that will happen within reasonable time. So yeah, this is really excellent. I'm very happy with that. Um, I think that should be it. Yeah. So I'm very pleased with this and the way that it works with RampenSau and Colorinator. And then now I could, for example, apply this again. And yeah, it makes a lot of cool stuff possible, hopefully. I will also quickly show why I think the color ID stuff is interesting. So what if we now say that, so all of these, each instance here has its own residue ID, which is nice for some visualization purposes. I could now also say, let's color the color IDs. So this happens a bit more quickly. And it's like now multiple species will have the same color ID because there is about 90 species of protein here, right? So it's a bit like underdetermined, but still it applies that you can get these interesting kind of distributions. And now if I bring this to Colorinator, I would have a lot of flexibility maybe with changing up it quite specifically, and I can maybe lock some colors, right? Some colors that I like, and then we go here and we do something really, maybe something really strange. And now if I apply this, then we still retain some of these colors. So yeah, that's really makes me super happy. Okay, that's it. Good night.